A wedding rehearsal turned into a nightmare when my sister walked down the aisle in my custom gown, holding my fiancé's arm, but I had already prepared for their betrayal. At my wedding rehearsal, my sister appeared in my custom gown, holding my fiancé's arm. Surprise! I noticed the chairs first, not the dress, not my sister's hand looped through Daniel's arm, not my mother clapping like someone had just unveiled a sculpture. The chairs, they were set in two uneven rows in the vineyard stone courtyard, angled slightly toward the archway, wrapped in early summer roses. The florist had misjudged the symmetry. I had meant to fix it before guests arrived. Instead, I was standing at the top of the steps holding my rehearsal notes, watching my sister wear my gown. It fit her. That was the detail my mother chose to emphasize. "She looks so much better in white," she said, laughing in that soft, airy way she used when she believed she was being honest rather than cruel. My sister lifted the hem slightly so she wouldn't trip. The lace sleeves I had sketched, the altered neckline I had argued for, the tiny row of covered buttons down the back. "Surprise," she sang. "We're eloping tonight." Daniel didn't smile. Not really. He gave the same tight, polite expression he used in photos with my extended family. His hand rested on her waist, but it looked placed there rather than belonging. A small sound moved through the guests. Not outrage, not applause, confusion. I felt something rise in me. Not fury. Not yet. Recognition. This was familiar terrain. My sister stepping into something of mine and being applauded for it. My mother validating the theft as destiny. Me being expected to adjust gracefully. I studied Daniel's face. He still hadn't met my eyes. That was when the humiliation tried to bloom, hot and immediate. And I realized something else. They thought I didn't know. They thought this was spontaneous, that I would discover everything in this courtyard and either scream or crumble. I set my rehearsal notes down on the nearest chair. My hands were steady. I was proud of that. "Is that so?" I asked. My sister giggled again, mistaking quiet for shock. "We didn't want to make it awkward, but we've been in love for months." "Haven't we, Daniel?" He swallowed. My mother stepped forward as if facilitating a transfer of ownership. "These things happen. You two were never quite right." That sentence landed cleaner than the rest. "Not right." I nodded slowly. Then I reached into my clutch and pulled out my phone. There's something about a screen lighting up in fading daylight, it draws attention without drama. "I'm glad you're all here," I said evenly. "It saves me from sending emails." Daniel finally looked at me. I opened the first document, a forwarded message thread from 3 weeks earlier. Daniel's name at the top, timestamped clear. He had written to my sister that he was confused, that he felt seen by her, that he didn't know how to end things with me without humiliating me publicly. He had asked her to be patient. She had replied with heart emojis. I didn't read it aloud. I simply turned the phone so the nearest cluster of guests could see. One of Daniel's groomsmen leaned closer. His expression shifted first. Then I opened the second item, an email chain with the venue coordinator and officiant. 2 days ago, I had requested that all legal paperwork be withdrawn and that the marriage license not be filed. I had cited private concerns. I'd asked that no changes be made without my written consent. I looked toward the reception hall doors. On cue, or perhaps simply because she had been watching the commotion, the venue coordinator stepped out. Rehearsal. Efficient. Calm. "I'm sorry," she said carefully, addressing the group. "I need to clarify something." Her voice carried because it wasn't emotional. "This event space and tonight's reservation are under Ms. Avery's contract only. Payments are non-transferable, and without a valid license filed in advance, no legal ceremony can take place here this evening." Silence settled in a different way now. Not stunned, structured. Authority has a sound when it enters a room. It doesn't shout. My sister's smile wavered. "That's fine," she said quickly. "We'll just go somewhere else." Rehearsal nodded professionally. "Of course. But this property will not host it." Daniel removed his hand from my sister's waist. That was the moment. Not when they arrived in my dress. Not when my mother compared us. When his hand dropped. My mother turned to me, sharp now. "You planned this." "No," I said. "I prepared." I let that sit. I found the messages a month ago, I continued. I wanted to be certain. So I gave you space to decide what kind of people you wanted to be. I looked at Daniel when I said it. He flinched. I decided what kind of person I would be. No insults. No raised voice. Just fact. A few guests began quietly moving their chairs back into symmetrical lines. Muscle memory, maybe? Or discomfort. My sister's fingers tightened in the lace at her hip. So what? You're canceling everything. Yes. The word felt clean. But dinner's already paid for, I added. The wine's been uncorked. I'd hate for it to go to waste. There it was. Not revenge. Not spectacle. Just redirection. You're all welcome to stay, I told the guests. Consider it a farewell party. My mother looked between us, as if waiting for me to break, to accuse, to beg. I didn't. Daniel stepped forward then, finally attempting something that resembled courage. Avery, I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I know, I said. That was the truth. He hadn't meant to be exposed. He had meant to drift. Drifting is easier when someone else absorbs the impact. I hope you're happy, I said to both of them. Not warmly. Not bitterly. Just accurately. My sister searched my face for devastation. I understood then that my pain had been part of her fantasy, a dramatic contrast to her triumph. I didn't give it to her. Marisol gestured discreetly toward the courtyard entrance. A clear boundary now established. Daniel left first. My sister followed, the hem of my gown brushing against stone that had been rented under my name. My mother lingered. You're overreacting, she said quietly, almost pleading now. You could have fought for him. I just did, I replied. She didn't understand. That was fine. When she finally walked away, the courtyard felt larger. The florist approached me hesitantly. Would you like us to reset the arch? I looked at it, the roses slightly asymmetrical. Yes, I said. But not for a ceremony. For what then? For photographs, I answered. Of everyone who stayed. The evening unfolded strangely gently after that. Wine glasses clinked. Conversations resumed, cautious at first, then steadier. My college roommate squeezed my hand without speaking. Daniel's groomsman apologized under his breath. I moved among the tables, thanking people for coming. The dress was gone. The fiancé was gone. But something else was gone too. The constant negotiation of being second. As dusk deepened, I stood beneath the arch alone for a moment while someone snapped a photo. I wasn't smiling broadly. But I wasn't shrinking either. There would be paperwork to untangle. Explanations to field. Grief to process in the quiet days ahead. Tonight, though, I had done one thing differently. I had refused to compete for something that required my diminishment. The chairs were finally straight. And for the first time all evening, the symmetry held. Sometimes the best wedding gift is finding out who truly belongs in your life before you say, I do. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more gripping narratives.